after a gutsy road win last week against the 49ers.
Chased by McClain, throws it out, caught short of the first down, and it was Mo Claiborne.
The Cowboys are back home riding a 3-game winning streak.
Can't ever get ahead of yourself, and certainly that's the case when you won 3 in a row.
But now, some big cats are looking to pounce on the Cowboys and knock them off their high horse.
Green is down there. Oh, he caught
We can do it all, so I mean it's going to be a challenge for us.
Can the rookie duo continue their hot play?
it. Handoff Zeke, pushing right. Touchdown, Cowboys.
I mean, we're confident in our offense and this team in the direction we're headed.
Can the defense stop these cats in their tracks?
I think the guys understand what's necessary to win.
Cowboys, Bengals. It all starts right now on Cowboys Game Day.
It does all start right now. Just a beautiful Sunday morning for tailgating in Arlington. The parking lots opened a half hour ago at AT&T Stadium, some 5.5 hours before kickoff. It is game day, and it's time for Cowboys Game Day, your only Sunday morning live and local Cowboys pregame show. And welcome into the CBS 11 studios. Bill Jones with the Manchester Pro Football Hall of Famer, Randy White. It's the Cowboys and the Cincinnati Bengals today, and Randy is ready for some football, aren't you?
This should be a good game, Bill. I tell you what, the Bengals come in here. They got a little chip on their shoulder. They got a little attitude they play with. It'd be a good test for the Cowboys today.
And the Bengals really need a win, too. They come in with 2 wins and 2 losses on the season. Of course, the Cowboys are 3-1 coming into this one. But, wow, what a glorious day today. And with those parking lots opening for tailgating 5.5 hours before kickoff, I'm thinking that the crowd might be primed a little bit by 3:25 this afternoon. By the way, right here on CBS 11, Cowboys and Bengals.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure the fans are going to be ready to go, Bill. They'll be warmed up and ready to go. They're all excited, and we'll see what happens on the field.
All right. Well, last week at San Francisco, with Tony Romo not playing with that injured back, no Tyron Smith at left tackle, Dez Bryant, nothing but a cheerleader on the sideline, and he was a coach, too. Cowboys were down 14-0 on the road, and last year there's no way they're winning that game, but it's different this year. Sure, Dak and Zeke are helping, but it's much more than that.
The chemistry's great right now, and I don't say that just because we won 3 games here. I just think it's a great group of guys that love being around each other, and when you go through the journey like this, I mean, I think you become hardened from your experiences when you lose the way we lost last year. And it's a good group of guys that enjoy being around each other.
A lot of it has to do with how you build the team at the outset, the kind of guys you have on the team, willing to embrace the opportunities that they have and grind each and every day to make sure they get themselves ready for those opportunities.
Jason Witten is all about team. Randy White is all about team. And that's a big thing. And when a team's 3-1, it's a lot easier to have that team chemistry, though.
Well, they do. And I tell you, Bill, these young guys, I tell you, you watch them. I get excited watching them. And I think they're Deke and Zach and the whole crew out there. And
or Dak and Zeke, for that
Zach
matter.
and Zeke.
You know what? Our producer, Chris Bullock, said he keeps saying Deke and Zach. And sure enough, right off the bat,
I made a mistake.
We're going to blame that one on Bull, our producer.
Okay, Bull, it's your fault.
But Dak and Zeke, they do bring a certain energy, don't
they bring a lot of, you just watch them. They're fun to watch, and it's kind of like catching on fire for the rest of that team, and it's fun to watch where this team's going. And I don't think they're there totally yet, Bill. I think, they come away with another big win. This is just going to keep growing and growing and growing.
All right, check out Zeke here. And see, towards the end of that game, okay, that defense needs a stop. Who's going out there and motivating the defense in the huddle? Well, the rookie is going out there and doing it.
Well, you can tell he's a rookie because when he's been in this league a couple years, he'll be over there on the sidelines catching his breath. And them guys out in that huddle. But, when's the last time you saw a running back go out there and encourage our defense get out there and play well? So, that's the kind of chemistry they've got. That's the kind of energy they've got. When you got that going for you, good things happen to you, Bill, and you look at these guys. Good things are happening to them.
All right, we'll see if the good things continue today against a Bengals team and an offense that should present some problems for the Cowboys defense. One of the keys, though, during this 3-game winning streak, and Randy has been preaching about this all season long, in fact, going back 2 years ago, basically, you got to be able to finish games. And 2 of the last 3 wins, they've gotten stops in the fourth quarter. This defense has come through.
Yes, I mean, and we talked about that earlier. if you're going to win in this league today, unless it's a blowout one way or another, it comes down to who can make the plays in the fourth quarter. And we've been able to come up with some big plays, Bill. And you know what? That's contagious because you start expecting to make those plays. And if you're not doing well, the teams that don't do well, they don't expect to make them plays, and they don't. So I think the Cowboys are developing this attitude that, somebody's going to make a big play, and they're going to win these football games.
It's helped a little bit, though, as we're seeing in these highlights here. Facing Kirk Cousins a couple of weeks ago, he was a little erratic, and Blaine Gabbert last week was not spot on with his throws. There's some of that great celebration after
look at that energy,
big stop
man.
right there.
Yeah.
And Mo Claiborne, by the way, making that play. And Mo Claiborne is playing, and we've talked about it, a week in, week out this season at the highest level he's played at in his career. Now in his 5th year, he's on a 1-year deal after being a first-round pick back in 2012. It's remarkable the turnaround that Claiborne has made through the first 4 games of this season.
Well, it is, and it takes some guys longer than others, but he's healthy. Number one, he's healthy. He's able to practice. He's making a few plays. He's gaining some confidence, and when that happens, like I said, you can't make these things happen. They have to happen on their own. And you see this whole football team is evolving with this attitude that, hey, we can win these games. We're going to find a way to win these games. And, and they will.
And one of the things against Gabbert and the Niners last week, early in the game, the Niners were converting on 3rd down. They were 7 for their first 7. This defense doesn't have enough talent, really, to be a dominating defense, but they have to win 3rd down. Just like on offense, they got to win 3rd down. But how much credit do you give Rod Marinelli? You look at that defensive line, and, people call it a no-name cast of characters on there. But Marinelli, one thing that he certainly gets out of all of his players, they're going 100% through the entire game.
Yeah, and when you Coach Marinelli, that's his philosophy. He likes the turnovers. He preaches turnovers. But when you're going 110%, I mean, there's not that great a difference. We just don't have any superstars, and hopefully a couple of these guys will evolve to being that. But Coach Marinelli's got these guys moving, working. They bought into his philosophy, and now once you see some of these things start happening, he's moved a couple players around. He moved Crawford around. He's sticking these guys in there and out, and he's going to find a combination that works. We got Lawrence back this week. He's a guy that had 8 sacks last year, so hopefully he can kind of take off where he left off and make a little impact in there and rushing that passer.
And Tyrone Crawford has moved out from the 3 technique out to defensive end, got a couple of sacks the last couple of weeks. But you mentioned DeMarcus Lawrence. He is activated now. The Cowboys made that roster move yesterday. We'll see how much he can contribute because he's been dealing with a back issue while he was serving his 4-game suspension.
Well, any help we can get on the pass rush, Bill, will be much needed and very much appreciated.
Well, and DeMarcus, the way he was playing at the end of last year, he can help not only with a pass rush but also run defense as well. All right, coming up here, we're talking Bengals, their chippy defense, and their potent offensive attack. But first, it's time for our Wingstop trivia question. Former TCU great Andy Dalton will start for the Bengals today. Dalton was the 5th quarterback taken in the 2011 draft, the 35th overall pick. Can you name the 4 quarterbacks selected before him in that draft? We'll have the answer after the break.
I don't think I can answer. I can't answer that one.
How about 1?
I don't know one, Bill. I don't know one.
We'll give you 1.
Give me one. Give me one.
1 place. In our Wingstop trivia question, we told you Bengals quarterback Andy Dalton was the 5th quarterback taken in the 2011 draft. Did you know the 4 quarterbacks selected before him? Well, Cam Newton was number 1 overall. Jake Locker, now out of the league, was selected number 8. Blaine Gabbert, now the starter with the Niners, number 10. Christian Ponder, the 3rd-teamer with the Niners, number 12. And then Dalton went early 2nd round. By the way, Colin Kaepernick went behind Dalton in that draft. So 3 49er quarterbacks in that draft. Welcome back to Cowboys Game Day. Bill Jones along with Randy White. Let's talk Andy Dalton a little bit. This is a special game for him as Andy Dalton returns to his old stomping grounds. Of course, he was a star with the TCU Horned Frogs, makes his home now here in Fort Worth. And the way he has evolved as an NFL quarterback, he's been pretty special, I think.
Well, he is, Bill, and today he's going to be a challenge for these Dallas Cowboys. I mean, we've got to get pressure on Andy Dalton because he's got A.J. Green, and his tight end's hurt. But A.J. Green, that deep threat, they're going to challenge us out there on those corners.
You know, that's one of the things when you look at how Dalton has evolved. He had he had to evolve into a guy who would throw the ball downfield and trust the fact that A.J. Green would be there. And A.J. Green can make catches in traffic where it doesn't look like he's open. He's a lot like Julio Jones with Atlanta. But on the defensive side of the ball, the Bengals making the playoffs the last 5 years, it's been defense that has really been their strong suit, and they can put pressure on the quarterback.
They can, Bill, and these guys, they play with an attitude. They got a little chip on their shoulder, so we can't let that distract us as an offense. Where you beat guys like that, you go out there and you take that ball and you stuff it right down their throat, and that'll take a little bit of that zip out of them.
Vontez Burfict may have something to say about that as he's back for the Bengals. They've got a guy in Carlos Dunlap who had 13.5 sacks last year, and of course Geno Atkins in the middle is a dominant pass rusher as well. All right, up next here on Cowboys Game Day, we head to the offensive side of the ball for the Cowboys. Can Dak pass his toughest test yet? Plus, is it Zeke or is it the offensive line? The Manster has the answer when we talk about the league's leading rusher next on Cowboys Game Day.
It's time for the Nissan On the Road Report. Shop ChooseNissan.com today.
You think we're very confident. We've been confident since camp, and we're confident in each other. We have a great team chemistry, and we're very confident in each other, and we believe in each other. So, I mean, we have each other's back when we go out there.
Yeah, it sounds like the Cowboys are very confident, according to Zeke Elliott there. It's the Cowboys and the Bengals. Game you can see right here on CBS 11 this afternoon at 3:25. As I welcome you back here to Cowboys Game Day. Bill Jones with the Manster, Randy White. And let's talk about Ezekiel Elliott a little bit. By some standards, it was a slow start to this season because he didn't get 100 yards the first 2 games. But he's gotten 100 yards each of the last 2 games, and you can see why the Cowboys had him rated right at the top of their draft.
Well, you sure can, Bill. I tell you what, he's fun to watch. He's got a great attitude. He inspires the other players on that team, and he's learning week to week. He's getting better. You watch him. He's learning how to run behind that offensive line. And, I played on the team with a guy like Tony Dorsett, right? And when you got a guy back there that you know, if you can get the ball as a defensive guy, you can get the ball back to your offense. This guy can go from one end to the other on any play. Hey, it makes it more fun.
One of these times, he's going to break one all the way.
Oh, sure he is.
I mean, he's got the speed to do that. It's tough to do in this league, but he reminds me of Emmett so much, too.
Well, he's a combination of all of the above, which equates to being a great running back. If he can stay healthy, this guy's going to... You said at the beginning of the year he's going to lead the league in rushing. Well, I hope he does, because if he does, we'll be in the playoffs.
Well, he's got a good start because right now he's leading the league in rushing through 4 games. He has over 400 yards rushing. So if I do my Oklahoma math right, he's on pace to go for over 1,600 yards this year, which is what Alfred Morris, his backup, by the way, did his rookie year with the Washington Redskins. One of the big reasons, though, or maybe there's about 5, 6, or 7 good reasons that Zeke Elliott is doing what he's doing, is that offensive line. I say 5, 6, or 7 reasons because they've had to use backups, and they haven't missed a beat the last couple of weeks on that O-line.
Well, yeah, the offensive line, they're key in this, but it's a combination of both of them, because last year we saw some different running backs in there, and things didn't work out so good last year. Now, this year, they're gelling again. So now these offensive linemen know, hey, we got somebody back here, let's just push these guys a little bit, and this guy's going to make us look good. So, it's working. It's a team, and it's fun to watch them right now.
Yeah, you see it up close and personal in the trenches right there. There were some gaping holes last week against San Francisco that you or I could probably run through, but it was a thing of beauty. If you watch it on coach's film, wow, that offensive line was in sync.
They were doing it, Bill. But
that's something, by the way, on that offensive line, that's something where even though they're considered the top offensive line in the league, that's something that they really needed to work on, right?
Well, they did. I mean, after last year, there were some question marks, not in their mind, but in the public's mind. And then, they're putting all those questions to rest. But, Bill, if I can run through that offense, now maybe you could. I couldn't run through there. I don't care how big it was.
And by the way, Tyron Smith apparently is going to be back this week. He was he was limited in practice, but now Chaz Green has a foot injury, and so he was not practicing this week. So the Cowboys need their Pro Bowl left tackle back, and they need him for weeks to come. Let's move on to Dak Prescott. And another reason that they're having success in the running game, and they're so good on 3rd down this year, obviously, is is the rookie quarterback out of Mississippi State.
Dak, I mean, he's just so fun to watch. He brings so much energy, and you can tell just by the way he plays. He spends the time during the week. The coaches are doing an excellent job with him. I mean, this guy is doing everything right. Today, I think he may get a little challenged because they're going to try to take away some of the short stuff that he's been throwing. Cincinnati is, and he's going to have to go deep a little bit, which he hasn't really had to do. So we'll see how that works out today. But you know, Dak is he's just fun to watch, and he's exciting, and he inspires that whole team right now.
Yeah, and his preparation is probably what sets him apart more than anything as a rookie in this league. Cowboy coaches going into last week's game were talking about the different looks that San Francisco gives a quarterback on defense, and he was able to overcome that and have a really good game last week. The receivers, Des Bryant looks like he's out again this week, of course, and so they need the receivers to step up. And this Bryce Butler, as Jason Witten, of course, is a right-hand man for Dak Prescott or any quarterback, but a guy like Bryce Butler has to step up, and he had good and bad last week against San Francisco.
Well, you can't have stupid penalties like he made. I mean, hopefully you get over that and learn from that. But, you know, hey, he makes some plays. He can get downfield. He can catch the football. He just needs to go out there and do it.
And Terrence Williams is another one. He had a touchdown catch last week, and we've seen Cole Beasley come through in a very big way throughout the first quarter of this season.
Well, you know, just like last week was so beautiful to watch. You know, they took Cole Beasley away, right? They took him out of the game. They were doubling, and you know, he goes to Witten. Smart move.
Well, you know, you also look at this passing game, and you know, Jason Witten is a guy that is throughout Tony Romo's career has been his calling card on third down. But when the Cowboys are so good on third down and you have so many weapons, I think that, and you have the running game that they do, you're going to have some success on third down.
Well, that's right. I mean, that running game sets it all up. I mean, and when you're third and short, when you're 3rd and 3 to 5, 3rd and 2, 3rd and 4, I mean, you can run the ball. That puts the defense really on defense, and that's what the Cowboys have been able to do with that running game. That running game makes it all happen, Bill.
All right, one of the injury concerns the Cowboys have this week is one Dan Bailey. Dan Bailey, of course, last week, it was on Sunday morning in San Francisco. Things flared up for him with his back. This is footage from him on Friday at practice. Wasn't able to do anything earlier in the week. They rested him, trying to get that back in shape. In fact, they brought in 3 kickers for a look-see just in case Dan Bailey could not go. He waves it off that he's done for the day on Friday. However, the Cowboys did not make any move with a kicker. So they're going with Dan Bailey today, and so that's something to keep in mind as the Cowboys prepare for this one, how healthy Dan Bailey will be.
Well, we need a healthy Dan Bailey. He's a big part of that offense. You know, I mean, he's almost automatic 3, so that's important. We need to keep our kicker healthy, Bill.
And, of course, he missed a field goal last week, but was able, and the other thing is on kickoffs, he's got to be able to kick the ball deep, and was able to survive. The backup place kicker, Jeff Heath, a safety, who, by the way, made a 49-yard field goal to win a high school state quarterfinal game. So there is that for Jeff Heath. All right, coming up, what happened on this day in 1994? And Randy's looking for a 4-week winning streak on his Cowboys predictions.
In the words of Witten, sponsored by Nissan. Shop ChooseNissan.com today.
They're a chippy bunch. I mean, they've had a lot of success. They played in the playoffs. You know, a veteran group that's played well for a number of years. Well-coached team. So, I mean, this is a big test for us, especially offensively, because they're a really good defense, and they've been that way for quite some time.
On this day 22 years ago, 2 Dallas Cowboys legends were inducted into the Cowboys Ring of Honor. Running back Tony Dorsett and our very own Randy White. Both players took their place in the Pro Football Hall of Fame earlier that same year. Their induction into the Cowboys Ring of Honor took place at halftime of the Cardinals game at Texas Stadium on October 9th, 1994.
Yes, we surprised Randy with that. You didn't realize it was 22 years ago today, did you?
I had a little more hair there.
That was a good-looking guy they had there. What happened to you?
What happened to that guy? I don't know. They got that old Billy Goat goatee. No, where's that?
Does it seem like it's been 22 years since that day?
No, it just seemed like yesterday. You know, that time flies by when you're having a good time. So, yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, it just seemed like yesterday that happened.
And, of course, that was 5 years after Randy and Tony retired from the NFL. They went into the Hall of Fame that year. First ballot Hall of Famers, and rightly so. And here he is, 22 years later, talking about the Cowboys. And talking about this Cowboys-Bengals game, you know, you go through the first 4 games of this season, a 3-1 record, but this is the real test for this team. Starting this week against Cincinnati, then you go to Green Bay next week, you have an off week, and then an unbeaten right now Philadelphia team the week after that.
Yeah, we got a tough stretch coming up. You know, we got to start with this game today, Cincinnati, because they're hungry. You know, they're a hungry team. They need a win. They're 2-2. And if they want to get to the playoffs, they can't afford to stub their toe today and any time in the near future. So, you know, we'll see how this team can match up. We'll see where we stand.
And if the Cowboys can get to 4-1 on the season, headed to Green Bay next week. By the way, we talked about Andy Dalton, A.J. Green. Got to be concerned with the run game for the Bengals as well, because in those 2 running backs that they have, they can control the game as well. All right, we got a big day ahead for you here on CBS 11 as we've got the Cowboys and Bengals, a 3:25 kickoff. And prior to that, it's the Texans and the Vikings at noon here on CBS. We got the NFL today coming up next. But now it's time for Randy White's much anticipated prediction for this week. So far on the season, Randy is 3-1 on the season.
And I will be 4-1 after
you will
this.
Be 4-1.
4-1. The Cowboys, they're going to win today. They're going to beat the Bengals.
So not only Randy, but also the Cowboys will be 4-1. Yes. Remember, Randy went 4-12 last year on his predictions, but he went 12-4 the year before. All right, we'll see you again next week here on Cowboys Game Day. Enjoy the game. We'll see you tonight on CBS 11.